Hey guys, this is my channel Only Hands, and welcome to my second vlog. I appreciate everyone's feedback and kind words on my first vlog, and I intend to incorporate your feedback to improve going forward. It's April 13th, I'm still working on my first vlog, and I started the night hanging out with friends in the Mosaic District, which is a really fancy spot with restaurants and shops. We have some food and drinks at Bar Taco, and before I know it, we start talking about what we plan on doing that night. I had been drowning in learning video editing, and had just on that car drive decided on my channel name. Only Hands. So I wasn't fully in the mood to create an additional backlog of videos to edit. However, once my friend said he wanted to go, there was no turning back for me. We get there around 11 p.m., there's a little bit of a wait list, so we get ourselves situated with some Coronas to keep the night alive. Finally, when we sit down, my first hand is a beautiful ace-king suited. I'm under the gun and I open to $15. I get 3 callers, including the small blind and big blind, both who I have good position against, and the flop comes 2 8s and a deuce, rainbow. We check down the flop. On the turn, we check to the hijack, who bets $15. I don't think anyone could have easily connected with this flop, as having an 8 is pretty unlikely and a 2 just wouldn't bet. The pre-flop action makes it unlikely someone was playing with a higher pocket pair over 8s, and pocket pairs under 8s would have likely just kept checking down. There is definitely a chance this player has a jack, but I think he would bet bigger on this turn. Also, there was something about this player's body language that indicated he was just trying to buy the pot while in position. Given that I had 2 overs, it was a pretty small price to pay as well as a live tell, so I went ahead and called the turn. On the river, I checked again and he bet another $30, another small price to pay. Additionally, the 6 shouldn't have changed anything, and so a jack would probably still be betting a little bit larger, while a deuce or 6, ace high or lower pocket pair would probably just want to check it down. I call down and he shows queen high that turned a gut shot and bluffed on the river. I'm really happy about this read. The next hand I didn't get footage of, as this was still in my first orbit after sitting down at the table and I was still fumbling with my camera setup. When I look down at aces soon after, I'm ecstatic. I'm in the button and I opened to $15 with many limpers to me, which in hindsight I should have opened to $20 to $25 with the 3 limpers who all called afterwards. These were the under the gun, low jack, and hijack. The flop comes a low board with 2 clubs, so it's pretty connected for what those players' limp call ranges would be. It checks to me, however, and I bet $30 as a continuation bet into a pot of $60. This gets a hijack to fold, but the under the gun and low jack call. The turn comes a jack of diamonds, further connecting the board as 8-10 just got there. However, it checks to me again and I continue to charge the flush draws in either 9 or jack and bet $45. Under the gun is a small stack, so I'm really trying to make sure I get it all in with her by the river. At this point, she has about $100 behind, so when she calls a $45, I'm really surprised and really unsure what she could have at this point. I really hope she only has a top pair, but that's optimistic at best for me to think. The hijack folds after this bet. I'm really hoping for a blank turn and we see the ace of clubs, which gives me top set. Normally I would be very happy to see this card, but given the dynamics of the table with the club coming in, the most obvious draw that the lady could be on, I'm put in a tough spot. However, I'm very lucky to see that the under the gun lady only has $55 behind. She does promptly jam, and even with top set, this is nearly a hero call. With a given odds of $55 into a $240 pot, I know I have to call, and so I flick in a calling chip. She turns over a king 6 suited for the river nut flush. The rest of the table is very surprised to see what I had, and we all pay a memorial service to my cracked aces. I wipe my tears and look positively towards my next hand. I look down at king queen offsuit on the button when the cutoff opens to $10. This is a hand that I can mix in calls and 3 bets with, and this time in position, I choose to go the 3 bet option, bumping it up to $25. In position, I tend to hover around the 2.5 to 3.5x mark, whereas out of position, I would 3 bet usually 3.5 to 4.5x. With this 3 bet, I get 2 callers from the low jack and the cutoff, and we head to the flop of queen jack 10 rainbow. I have top pair with a good kicker and an open-ended straight draw. I'm happy with this board, but wary of a made straight or 2 pair. No reason to slow down on the flop though, and when it checks to me, I c-bet for $60. I definitely feel like a smaller c-bet would have been in order. I either would have been completely dominated or way ahead on this flop, so if I were to do this over again, not knowing the result, I would have bet around $30 or $35 instead. I get a call from the low jack, and now I'm really wary that I'm beat. The turn is a 5 of hearts, which brings in a backdoor flush draw. Not too concerned about backdoor hearts, however. as I'm putting my opponent on a 2-pair or a lower end of a straight that's playing it safe by check calling my bets. But both of those hands, which they wouldn't really fold if I were to bet on this turn. So when he checks to me, I check back. The river comes the 6 of spades. Using the same logic, when he checks to me, I check back. He turns over ace-queen offsuit for a better top pair. After the last few hands, I am very short-stacked. Given that I had decided to come play poker tonight as a last-minute decision, I wasn't exactly planning to rebuy and stay very long. I'm in under the gun and I decide to limp for a change with king 3 suited, hoping to get lucky. There are 4 other limpers. It looks like my buddy is one of them, and it looks like he's also trying to get lucky as he takes out a bunch of cash and holds it in his hand waiting to rebuy on the next hand. When I flop bottom pair and a flush draw, I am no longer going anywhere. Small blind, the buddy of mine, he leads for $15 and he starts praying with his cash in hand, so I'm not entirely sure what this means. I call, and so does under the gun 1. On the turn, the small blind checks to me, and I count my stack, realizing I don't have too much over the pot, and now would be the time to get the money in so that I can double up or go home, given that I have the most equity now before the river hits my spade, or my 3, or my king, or nothing. I jam for $102. Unfortunately, it looks like my buddy really had nothing and was really pretty much just hoping to stack off so that he could do his next buy-in. And he and the other player fold. Suited king hands have been treating me pretty well this night, so I decide to limp again, king 7 suited from the small blind. The limp gets through this time, again, which allows me to see a flop of king 7 10, flopping top and bottom for 2 pair. I check and flow and hijack bets $10. I go through with my check raise plan and I raise to $35. Hijack is the same player that tried to buy the pot earlier with queen high, and I'm keeping that in mind when he calls. The turn puts another club on the board, and now I put max aggression given there is a backdoor club draw, and I could be representing that as a semi-bluff. Also, since nothing has changed much about the board, a good king should probably be calling this. I overbet again, this time my $108 into an $85 pot. Given that I'd just done this earlier and gotten folds, I'm really hoping this time I get a call. Hijack is clearly willing to gamble, as shown in his previous hands, and he calls. The river is a blank and I turn over my 2 pair. He shows a king and mucks his other card. I get my double up and I'm here to play longer. As I had not planned to play that night, I did not bring my external battery and therefore was not set up to film and take notes on my phone for long. I get some more playable hands and I take some down and I lose some here and there as my phone dwindles down to 0%. I leave around 2 a.m. and I book a small win of $44, and I'm happy to have a good time playing poker with my friend. It's 16 hours later and I'm back.